Morning, everyone. This is lesson 4 in your notes called initial value and rate of change. Eventually, we will be graphing these equations instead of just solving them. So let's go to the first part. We'll fill in the blanks. In a word problem, the rate of change is also called slope. And you will see slope a number of times in the next few weeks. And slope, just as an example, slope is the steepness of the line when we graph it. So this is kind of an example of slope. This one's a little bit higher slope, flatter slope. Slope is the blank of the x value. It's the coefficient. And you know what coefficient is. The initial value is called the y-intercept. Okay, so we've got a coefficient as the x value, and the initial value means the starting point. Okay, so the y-intercept, because it is where the line crosses the y-axis. So let's read it one more time. In a word problem, the rate of change is called the slope, which is going to be the steepness of the line when we graph it, whereas the change is the key word. Is the coefficient of the x value. The initial value is called the y-intercept because it's where the line crosses the line, the y-axis. Okay, the second part here, linear equations, which means straight, are written in slope intercept form. And all this will mean something to you when we start working these problems. And then the formula you're going to work with, it's not really a formula, it's the equation, is y equals mx plus b. So let's explain what these letters mean. B is the y-intercept. That's your starting point, is where B is. M is your change or slope. Okay, so let's just review it. Y equals mx plus b. B is your y-intercept, your starting point. M is the change in the slope. This will make sense to you when we get on the examples. So let's get to the examples. Example 1, it says Mark is purchasing a new computer. The cost of the computer is $2,400 after taxes. We'll circle that. He will make monthly payments of $150. We'll circle all this. For the computer, write an equation that describes his account balance after each month. Okay, so initial value. When he bought the computer, it was $2,400 after taxes. That is his first or initial value. That's his starting point. What's changing? What's the rate of change or the slope? When we had rate of change up here, is also called the slope. So what's changing? Every month he's paying $150. When you pay something, you're decreasing it. So the rate of change every month, he's paying $150. I'm going to go ahead and put an X there. So what does that X represent? Every month. Okay, so let's go over it again. The initial value is $2,400. That's what he started with. Rate of change is $150. Monthly payments. That's why this is a negative $150 per month. That X is month. You could put an M for month. I just like to put an X. Now we have to write the equation. This is where mx plus b is coming in. M is your change. B is your starting point. Initial value, which is starting point. So I'm going to put y equals, because this y, what's my change? For this problem, it's negative $150. What was my initial value? $2,400. So initial value, $2,400, that's what he bought the computer, how much he bought the computer for. The change is a negative $150 per month. And then this is your equation. And what you would do is, and we did this yesterday, the first month, we would put a 1. I'm not going to solve this, but second month you put a 2, third month you put a 3, and on and on and on. So there's your first example. Let's go to example 2. Bought a refrigerator that cost $1,200. The cost of electricity to run the refrigerator is estimated at $63 per year. Write an equation that represents the total cost of the refrigerator after amount of years. Now, the difference between this one is he's not paying the refrigerator off. These are his additional costs. So this one's going to be different from example 1. Initial value, again, is $1,200. That's what he bought it for. Rate of change. Now watch this. He's going to spend $63 per year. That $63 is not coming out of the $1,200. That's included with the $1,200. So your rate of change is going to be positive because he has to pay it. X equals each year. So what's the total cost of each year? So year 1, X would be 1. Year 2, X would be 2. Equation. Again, we're going to write it in this format. The rate of change plus the cost of the refrigerator. Okay, and again, year 1, X would be 1. Year 2, X would be 2. But we're not going to do that down here. So there's example 2. Let's go to example 3. Okay, passengers on a flight are able to use the in-flight Wi-Fi using a flight built-in system. The cost to connect is $3 plus $1.85 each minute. Write an equation that represents the total cost. All right, now we have to figure out which cost is the initial value and which is the change. Initial value is going to be $3. The change is $1.85 each minute. Each minute, each hour, each minute, each day. That's always going to be your change. For this example, it's each minute. What does X represent? Minutes. Okay, so the change is going to be the $1.85 each minute. Let's write the equation. Again, we're going to write it in this format. Y equals the change plus the initial cost. And one thing, notice I put $3 here. I only put 3 here. It's the same. You don't need to put the zeros. So there's your equation. And again, the first minute, X is 1. The second minute, X is 2. Third minute, X is 3. Okay, last one. This one's short, but it has a graph to it also. She charges $10 to babysit, plus is the key word, 8 per hour. Per hour is the key term. Initial value is the $10. Changes $8 per hour. Okay, what does X represent? Number of hours. Here's your equation. Again, 8x plus the $10, and you don't need to put the zeros on the 10. So there's your equation. Rate of change is $8 per hour, and she starts at 10. Now we're going to attempt to draw a graph. So I'm going to put a 0 here. My initial value is 10, so I'm going to go up by 10s. And down here, hours, I'm just going to go up by 1s. Okay, this is going to kind of be a rough draft here. All right, so where did we start? At 0 hours, she's already charging $10. So that goes right there. This is your y-intercept. This is where the starting point. Initial value is $10 Before she even works an hour, she's being paid $10. That's this one right here, the initial value. For an hour, put a 1 in there. Oh, that's a plus 10. So that would be 8 plus 10 is 18. So for 1 hour is 18, so it's going to be right there. 2 hours. Put a 2 in for X. That's 16 plus 10 is 26. So 2 hours, you got to go find 26. I would say about right there. Let's do one more. 8 times 3 hours plus 10. That's 24 plus 10 is 34. So 3 hours is going to be roughly there. You see that straight line it's forming? Kind of straight line. So there's your slope right there. Okay, there's your line graph right there. So those are your equation examples, and we have a graphing one here. The key term is the y equals mx plus b, and the initial value is the b.